Happy President's Day, everybody. Today we're going to review PennyPacker Bourbon because this bottle is so damn full of Americana, it seemed to be the best thing we could review today. However, stick around for a minute and we'll tell you the twist. So what's the twist with PennyPacker Bourbon? Well, it says it's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and that much is true. Made out of the Bardstown area with a mash bill that consists of around 70% corn. But what you don't know is when you pick this off the shelf is this is actually made in Kentucky, shipped over to Germany, bottled and brought back to the US market for sale. Originally started back, I believe, in the 70s by American Distilling Company as a brand. It was sold to a German company by the name of Dorco, who then made it quickly into one of the best-selling bourbon brands in all of Europe, and it stayed there for decades. It just recently returned to American shores to be sold on a shelf near you, supposedly due to the huge demand in the bourbon market. So now you can go into your local retailer and pick it up for about $19.99, or you can go online to places like Casper's, get it for about $24.99, but it's readily available in most markets right now. Right off the bat, there's a lot of stuff going on with this bottle. It's just screams old-time Americana, from the shape of the bottle and the etchings that's molded into the glass to the back shape. It feels good, it looks good. It's got imagery from the name of PennyPacker, instilling sort of that penny pinching mentality, to a picture of what they say is Abe Lincoln. It doesn't really look like any picture of Abe Lincoln I've seen, but to the fonts that are used. So it's a nice looking package. And undoubtedly it's one that you've probably seen on the shelf. And hey, since it says Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, you may have even bought a bottle, and that's okay. But, you know, it is curious that it's trucked all the way to Germany and brought back, and it's still only about 20 bucks. So it should make you think, what the hell's going on in the bottle? So let's go ahead and dive in and figure that out. You know, one of the first things that I noticed when I got it, and I have to be perfectly honest here, I received this bottle almost 2 years ago from their PR firm when they were making the rounds with this. And I put it on a shelf, a little scared to try it because it was from Germany, or via Germany, and then I kind of forgot about it. So we're back today in celebration of President's Day, but one of the first things I noticed when I poured it, it's fairly light in color, and so it immediately made me think that this was going to be young. They state it's about 3+ years, maybe a little bit older. So when I first went in the nose, I expected to get a big explosion of corn, or as they say in the marketing materials, maize. I guess maize screams America more than corn does in European markets. But actually what I get out of it, surprisingly, is some apple, almost some green apple notes out of it, which kind of intrigued me. I wasn't bombarded with that heavy upfront corn that you would get maybe in a 4-year-old Jim Beam white label. You know, the corn then is followed with just a hint, you know, a mere promise, if you will, of maybe some caramel, vanilla notes, but not enough to say there's been some age on this. And then I get some green oak, and then kind of the thing that's interesting is a combination of rye and mint. You know, some other bloggers commented on that as well, saying it's reminiscent of some of the stuff from MGP, and I have to agree. It's where I would have gone initially if they hadn't told me it was made down in the Bardstown area. So let's see what it tastes like. You know, that apple's up front, but man, it is really watered down. The light color of it is really coming through in the fact that this feels really watered down. It's only 80 proof, so I didn't have high hopes for it, but it's completely lacking in any sort of viscosity or mouthfeel on it. There's no weight to it. Those caramel notes they're not grabbing hold, they're not there. Instead, you get that watered down apple taste, you get some toasted oak, and then kind of that minty aftertaste as well that was promised on the nose. There is some peppery bite to it from the rye, just the second flavoring grain here. So you do get some of that heat, and I can tell you that when you add a little bit of water, it rounds those off nicely. And as much as I hate to say it does make it smooth, but typically when I think smooth, I think devoid of flavor, and that's kind of what happens here. You get that hint, that really quick burst of green watered down apples, but it disappears so quickly it's not going to stick around. So you're left with some pepper, that gets muted with water. And then at the end you get some toasted oak. It lingers, the burn, lingers longer than I would have suspected, but it's not that sort of throbbing burn that you really look for on a cold winter's night. As a result, I think this is going to really appeal to someone who wants to try a whiskey or a bourbon, but doesn't want to have that full frontal attack that so many people associate with the spirit. So smooth, mild, unassuming are great ways to classify this. That being said, a lot of people said it would be great for mixing. I don't know if that's because they aren't afraid of spending $20 on a bottle that's used nothing but mixing, or if they thought that it would hold up well. As watered down as this is, and as lightweight as it is at 80 proof, I don't think it's going to have much of a chance of standing up in a good, strong cocktail. But if you're going to try it, do things like maybe some apple juice, maybe some sparkling cider, with maybe a splash of bitter or two. Keep it fairly lightweight, nothing too competitive in terms of flavors, and you might be okay. As far as sipping it around and hanging out with your friends and enjoying it over some banter, it's not really for me. It's too lightweight, it's too unassuming. I've been sipping all week on a $10 bottle of Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond 6-year white label, and it has tons more flavor and character than this does for, that's half the price of this. Now, that's not as easily available in most markets as this is, but I'm sure if you look, you can find something else that's going to have a little bit more character to it. And hell, you'll have fun doing it. That being said, if you want to give it a shot, 20 bucks isn't going to break the bank. You're not going to miss your mortgage payment, and you're not going to spit it out. It just doesn't have a lot going for it. Pretty unoffensive. Took a hell of a ride to Germany in the back, so we couldn't have really expected too much for it. But you're not going to offend anyone. And hey, if you're looking for something cool to have around that looks nice on a shelf, feels good in your hand, and will be perfectly acceptable to people who come in and don't know what they're drinking, give it a go. It's always fun to see things like this. And bottle design is something that is really kind of the stakes are being raised in the market right now with some of the other releases like Orphan Barrel and the like. So it's kind of cool to see these guys put this bottle out there. I just wish the juice inside of it stood up and measured up to what's on the actual label. But all in all, not a bad bourbon for people who are looking for something unassuming. So give it a shot if you want. Like I said, about $19.99. I think that's what Benny's got it for online. Castor's got it for $24.95 as well, if that's more your ticket, and your local liquor store will vary. But whatever you do, have a drink today with your friends, celebrate the holiday. Cheers. We'll see you next time.